Well, my name is Nate Staker, and I was raised in North Ogden, Utah, so not too far away. I started working here at Willard Bay Gardens when I was 17. I don't work here anymore, but I used to work here with Barney Barnett and Della as well, so but way back in the day. I think that was 2005, so quite a while ago. I eventually went on to Utah State and got a degree in landscape design and construction, and minored in horticulture, and have always worked in a greenhouse in some capacity. I used to work for Walt Disney World in Florida at the Living with the Land attraction, and then I was with Red Butte Garden in their greenhouse working pest control is what I was over. And when I was there, I learned about air plants and how to grow air plants and take care of air plants. And I saw that there wasn't a lot of people selling them or doing much with them, and so I thought, okay, this is kind of a trendy plant that I see online. Maybe I can be a voice for these plants and help people grow them. So air plants, they're in the family called Bromeliad family, so you buy them at the stores and different things. But the whole family as a class, they call them epiphytes. So I brought one here. This is just an orchid, and I've tied it with some moss, some sphagnum moss, and it's hanging on the cork oak. You can buy this pretty inexpensive. They run about $10 to $20 depending on size. It's really lightweight. You guys can. And that one's about to bloom. I've had it on there and just going. I soak it about when it feels dry, so it could be every week or every 3 days or so. The other one that I brought that's also in the family, this is a staghorn fern, and it's very interesting in the leaf feel. It's kind of spongy almost. It really can absorb water. It does grow in a little bit of soil, doesn't need too much, just a little bit. And these mostly grow up in your trunks of your trees. They'll spread with seeds and different things, and you'll get a collection of just different things growing. It's really fun to go to someplace tropical and see them growing up in the trees. But mostly, like with bromeliads, they have kind of what's called tanks off to the side that can hold a little bit of water, and then they'll kind of move their leaves around, fidget them around, and it will go towards the root area. Air plants do have roots. These have been trimmed off just for looks and things, but
does that hurt them when you
trim them off? No, they're just fine. They can live without them because they can soak through their leaves, but this has just a little bit of roots. So if somebody wanted to, they could go in and clip them off. Most nurseries and wholesalers and different companies, they'll clip them off just for looks, because nobody wants to see brown or dried, anything like that. Air plants don't need a lot of sunlight. They do prefer a little bit of light. I've did a display for Red Butte Gardens where it sat in their bathroom, and it had no sunlight for 3 weeks. It just had light bulb light, and they were just fine. So, but after 3 months, it did look like it needed a little bit of a change, and so we changed them out and knew that we wanted to keep our plants going. But they can't do full sun. They can do a little bit of morning sunlight and stuff. We're a little bit different from the climate where they grow. Typically, they're in more humid regions of the United States, or even South America. I'm trying to think of some of the other places. There's over 6,000 different varieties of air plants out there. And what's on the market is about 100 to 50 different air plants or so. Temperatures around 50 to 90 degrees is what you want to keep them at. So you can keep them out during the summer. That was one of our questions we had earlier is, can they go outside? Yes, they can go outside when it hits about 50 degrees at night. Filtered sunlight. And then how you water these is you can soak them in a bowl, just like a giant bowl, for about 10 to 20 minutes or so.
The whole thing
The whole thing. And then what you want to do once you're done is pull it out and set it upside down afterwards. That will get out any water that's in the middle, because these will tend to want to rot in the middle if they hold on to too much water. You can do it that way. You can do it upside down. When you take it out, just set it upside down and leave it for a few hours. That helps just get everything out of the center, because that's how I've lost them. Believe me, I've lost some expensive ones. And then you accidentally kill it and you go, oh. Some of these smaller ones, once you've done soaking them, it's a good idea to fling them a little bit, get the water out of the middle, and then set them upside down for a few hours, and then put them just right back with your other plants or displays. So what we have up above on our little frames, I'll pull one out here. So very simple, because some of them, yeah, they'll fall right through the wire, but you can use a little bit of wire or fish string, something to tie them on, and then you can just take them off and water them that way. There's a little bit of wire. I went, how's that hanging there? But yeah, because it's hanging just like that. It's like, wait a second, it needs to be either in the wire somehow, but yeah, they've used wire to tie it. Some people will use glue with their displays. You want to go with a non-toxic glue, and you would just miss the plant. Well, kind of like a hot glue, but also model glue, or crazy glue. That's like easy glue or something like that. But yeah, non-toxic glue is what you want to go with. So some of the air plants that I have today, that I brought today, I've actually been growing them under a LED light. And it's a full spectrum one, so it has the blue and the red LED lights. And I just bought it for $20 off of Amazon. And in comparison, so these are the exact same species of air plants. And look at the colors, red versus green. So if you took this one home, this would be probably losing its color within about 2 weeks or so. It will be green again. It just depends on the sunlight in your house and how things are. The other thing, some people out there, bless their hearts, they'll actually spray paint these with a non-toxic spray paint. So that's something you want to look for. What you'll see is on the bottom, there'll be a little bit of paint where there shouldn't be paint. You know, you can see on this, there's not a lot of color. It's kind of a dull red. And yeah, so you'll just kind of see it on the bottom a little bit, and you'll go, yeah, that's spray paint. The Bromeliads that we buy at the grocery store, they're also spray painted. It's a sad but true fact, and they call it enhancing paint or something like that. It'll be on the tag, so it's there. It's just not out in plain full color. No, so I'll use my little tubs or totes that I have, and I'll just put them on there. I have a full rack that has different levels, and I just set some of them on the rack if they don't fall through it and stuff. But yeah, I like doing the LED light because I'm a grower. I'm trying to get these growing. With the Aerogarden, you wouldn't want to set them into the water part. You could set them on the dry area.
Well, which is water in the bottom.
Oh, yeah, you could do that too, just for fun and get some colors out of it. So kind of talking about displays and what I've done, this is a piece that I made for the Weber County Fair. I'm going to scoot it here forward. So what I've done here is this frame is a old cedar fence from my parents' home in North Ogden, and it's 30 years old. Built a frame out of it. It's about 2.5 inches deep, so not very deep inside. They call this a shadow box. And this branch was originally on a tree in Red Butte Garden down in Salt Lake. And we had a snowstorm about this time of year. It was April, and I saved it for this project. The moss in this is dried, so it doesn't need any water. They've dyed it so it keeps a color form to it. And typically when you do something like this, you want to put things in 3. So I have the cork oak. There's 1, 2, and there's another one right here, 3. So it's very pleasing to the eye. So I did blocks of 3 throughout it, and there's a few single ones through there. But the method that I was trying to do was a cluster, and then it slowly drifts out. When I entered this in the fair, I had different orchids in here and had some flowering stuff, and won sweepstakes out of the Weber County Fair. So that was a fun little test of my abilities to see how I would do as a designer and things. They're just sitting there. That's a good question. So I can just pull them out, water them when I need. Because it's all dried material, I can spray them with a misting spray bottle. If you're misting it, yeah, it should be fine, where it's not at a deep level. Yeah. The key is, in our homes, they don't have air. You know, when they're up in the trees, they get that airflow throwing and it dries them out. Sunlight dries them out. So that's a key factor that we don't necessarily have in our homes. You're looking at, right here, this is 3 to 5 years for this size. Now this size, this could be about 8 years old. So that's why they do charge a little bit more for them, because it takes a long time to get to that size. Air plants are very interesting in, they'll reproduce through seed, but mostly they'll do what's called pupping, where they'll send out a little baby plant off to the side. And once it gets to a good portion size, you can actually go in and snip it off and break it off. And you got a whole new plant. I've done that a couple times at Red Butte Gardens. We had a few that were old enough and started pupping off, and was able to do it and thought, yes, I get to experience this and try it. So it does work. Whole new air plant and stuff. So the other thing with design, this is what you kind of want to do is mix up some of your plant materials. This would be more of a broad leaf versus a fine textured plant. So it's good to have a little bit of both. So when you're picking out your plants, you want to do a little bit of fine textured, like this fuchsia. This is fine textured compared to the broad leaf. So, just look around. Look on Pinterest. I do have a Pinterest page. It's Plantaholic87, I think, is the Pinterest account, but I post different things. This is just a piece of hardwood flooring that I hot glued a piece of cork oak and added a little bit of dried moss on there and created this, and it just hangs.
Where do you get that cork oak from?
Cork oak. Most florists will sell it. You can also find it online on Amazon and stuff. But what it is the outer layered bark of the oak trees, and they just flake them off and peel them off, and they're very lightweight, sturdy, and very decorative, interesting. Sometimes you get some mosses and different things that appear on them. So this is all glued, yeah. Sometimes, like this one here is natural. It's kind of a gray reindeer moss. So if I spray it a little bit, it will come back to life and stuff. It's a very interesting way of living and growing. So anyways, thank you again for attending my class, and hope to see you back here again.